Hey Physique Freaks, how's it going? Coach Scott here, and yesterday I received a fantastic question about nutrition labels and whether on the back of the package of, say, rice or pasta, if the measurement is, which is usually in grams, let's say it's rice, 45 grams of rice, if it is measured dry or cooked. And if it is measured dry, what does that translate to in terms of its weight when it's cooked? So let's get into my kitchen and we'll go over it. So when reading the nutrition label on a package of rice, you can assume most of the time it is a dry measurement. And here on this package, it says 45 grams or 1/4 cup. And I'm gonna pull out my scale here so you can see what the 1/4 cup looks like compared to the 45 grams. And it's close to a level scoop, but just below. So if you were to do a full scoop that was right to the top, or even a slightly rounded scoop, you would be above the caloric intake for what it says on this nutrition label. Now, if you're preparing a meal for yourself, it is pretty straightforward and easy. You measure out the 45 grams dry rice, add it to your rice cooker, and you know exactly what you're getting in the end. It gets a little bit trickier when you're making a meal for the family. So I'm going to give you an example here, preparing a meal for 4 people, 4 servings. First off, I'm going to weigh the pan that's in the rice cooker here, and that came to 133 grams. And now I'm going to measure out 4 servings of rice. So at 45 grams each, we're looking at a total of 180 grams dry. Adding that to the rice cooker, and we're going to subtract the total amount of rice. So once the rice is cooked, it's absorbed all of the water there, put it on the scale, and that came to a total of 675 grams. So I'm going to subtract the 133 grams from that, the pot, which came to 542 grams. When you divide that into 4 servings, you're looking at 135 grams per serving. So dry, you're looking at 45 grams per serving. Cooked, once it absorbed all the water, it came to 135 grams per serving, which really is negligible, but it's important for dividing our serving sizes here. Now, you could go the simple approach here and just eyeball it. So as you see here, I kind of carved out into quarters here, the rice cooked here, just made some little lines in there. I could just scoop that out, and you're gonna be relatively close. If you want to get more precise, if you're really dialing in your nutrition, you can measure the serving, knowing that, like, once you divide it all up, you're looking for 135 grams. And so what I did, I took my bowl, put it on the scale, zeroed it out, and scooped out what I thought would be a 1/4 serving here. And you can see in the rice cooker that I kind of scooped it out. It looks pretty darn close to a 1/4 serving. On the scale, it turned out to be 121 grams, so a little lower than what I was aiming for, what the 1/4 serving should have been. If you're in fat loss mode, boom, victory, all right, you end up eating accidentally a little less than what you thought. But that's pretty much the simple approach that I take to kind of cooking my rice and kind of monitoring how much I'm consuming, whether I'm eyeballing it or completely weighing it. I had the most amazing Canada Day weekend. Didn't track a single morsel that went into my mouth. Just ate very mindfully, enjoyed the treats. I had an ice cream every day, had a bit of chips here and there, but for the most part, just was really mindful with my eating. There's a time and a place for tracking your food intake, and when you're around company and friends and you're having a great time, especially when, ooh, there's a nice fish. I don't know if you can see it down there. I'll have to, oh, there it is. There it is. Just out for a walk with my main man, Chief, taking a little break. Yeah, unless you're in like competition mode and like a serious fat loss challenge, don't feel the need to track every single morsel, especially at the expense of enjoying a good time with company and friends. You don't want to be that person. Those events they're an opportunity. Really look at them as an opportunity to train your mindful muscles there, to really work on your intuitive skills and to learn to eat to satisfaction, to enjoy yourself without stuffing yourself silly. I did not feel full once during that weekend, and I just felt satisfied the entire time. I felt like I enjoyed myself, and I'm glad I didn't eat to that point of being gluttonous and overstuffed. It made me enjoy the experience even more. 95% of the time, I am not tracking my food intake. I really prefer to use tracking with tools such as MyFitnessPal. in the short term, mainly when you're just beginning a journey. For the most people, you want to kind of get a good idea. It's really an eye-opening experience to see how much you're actually consuming. It's not a perfect tool, there is room for errors, but it gives you a good guesstimation of how much you're consuming. So the key with tracking is to work on getting that structure in place and being mindful throughout that process. So if you're eating the same breakfast every day, your second meal is the same every day, and you get your variety from some snacks and dinner, you're establishing that structure while getting a good insight into how many calories you're consuming there. And if you have some staple meals that you're consuming for dinner each and every week, say you have 7 to 10 different meals, and you have a good idea of how many calories are in each of those meals, you don't really have to log it each and every time. You can be mindful kind of while you're logging it, while you're tracking that food in the beginning. You can get an idea of how you feel at the end of that meal. Feeling satisfied, you feel full, you still feel a little light after eating that meal. So all those things, you work on that mindfulness, you work on that structure, and it breaks you free from the need of tracking. And then every once in a while, you just log back in for a week or two, track to make sure your eyeballing skills are still on point, and go from there. So don't feel like you have to be locked in. This whole tracking thing, counting calories, counting macros, all that stuff, it's not meant to be for the long term. It's really best used in the short term. And the best skill that you can teach yourself is to be mindful, present in that moment, and getting that structure in place, creating those habits so you don't have to log and track every single morsel that goes into your mouth.
Dog, you're supposed to swim.
Okay.
You want a break? You need a break.
If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. Before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. Have an absolutely amazing day. I'll catch you in the next video.